Hello friends, now we study on connective tissue, the second type of animal tissue. We call it connective tissue because it connects body parts one to another, and also it can be called as supporting tissue because also it supports the different parts of body. We remember the definition of tissue. We said made up of a group of similar cells in addition to intercellular substance. But in connective tissue, more than other tissue, also there are fibers which link body parts and support body parts. So we call it connective tissue and supportive tissue. So simply connective tissue made up of three main components: cells, fibers, and intercellular substance known as what can be called as matrix. We will study types of cell in connective tissue one by one, and after kind of fibers in the tissue, and we classify the connective tissue according to physical characteristics of intercellular substance, which call it as matrix. The cells of connective tissue are different from one another. There are several types of cells and with different functions. The major types of connective tissue cells are the fibroblast, which is the most common type of cell in connective tissue, and they characterize it with their big size, long endings of their body. They look like the cell body of maybe nerve cells, these long endings of their body. They are flat spindle-shaped cells with fusiform. The cells has big oval nucleus and homogeneous cytoplasm, means a clear cytoplasm contain less amount of granules or ribosome. The basic function of the fibroblast is to produce all types of fibers. So we need fibroblast, means we need to remember its function is involved with production of all kinds of fibers in connective tissue. The second cell, macrophage, is an amoeboic cells. We know amoeba can change their shape with short stretch. We call them pseudopodia, not permanent stretch, but they are shorter according to a fibroblast. So we simply withdraw for like an ordinary amoeba. The nucleus of this center is not in center. The major function of this cell is attack foreign substance within the tissue. The function is mainly defensive. From amoeba, we may remember the main method of feeding in amoeba is phagocytosis. So it attacks the foreign substance and eat the bacteria and viruses by phagocyting or devour these microorganisms and provide the function of defensive. Adipose cells, this type of cells spherical in appearance and contains one big fat drop. So most of cytoplasm is occupied by this fat. The cytoplasm of cell takes a ring shape, which the part which remain between the fat drop and plasma membrane in cytoplasm like a ring. The nucleus of cells is flattened and located near the periphery means closer to the plasma membrane. Adipose cell functions, stores fat. After this, fat can be used as source of energy to generate energy and maintain thermal balance because fat tissue just located under the skin mainly. Mesenchymal cells, part of the morphology of the embryonic connective tissue. So embryonic connective tissue, morphology about appearance, shape formation. But because embryo totally made up of mesenchymal cells, number of cells increase, decrease, or change in their shape, all form the shape of embryo. So embryonic connective tissue is mesenchymal cells, which they are undifferentiated and they have ability to change any kind of cell in connective tissue. They shape similar to fibroblasts, but only they are smaller in size. The main function of mesenchymal cell lies ability to differentiate in any other type of cell in connective tissue. Means what? Mesenchymal cell can form the fibroblast or macrophage or plasma cell or any other kind of cell in connective tissue because their ability of undifferentiated. The plasma cells, relatively small spherical or oval cells with a central nucleus, but for this kind of cell the shape of nucleus is not an ordinary shape. The cytoplasm of cell is homogeneous, but the nucleus look like a cartwheel in that shape. It shows the nucleus is so active. This homogeneous means also they have a clear cytoplasm. Plasma cells responsible for secreting antibodies. Antibodies, they are natural substances produced by body cells to defend body against what? Microorganisms or germs, and they provide the function of body protection like macrophage, but in a way they are different one from another. The macrophage attack the foreign substance, eat them by phagocytosis, while plasma cells kill these microbes by producing antibodies. Mast cells are very common in the connective tissue, but where the most common type of cell are fibroblasts. They are big and spherical in appearance with small central nucleus. The cytoplasm of mast cell appears to be granular. Granular means there are ribosomes in their cytoplasm, these granules, and if we see ribosomes, means they have ability to produce large amount of proteins. So the mast cell contain histamine protein, which plays a protective role in the contraction of smooth muscle in the pulmonary bronchioles. They increase their exuding ability to make them wider to transport more material. It also contributes the expansion of blood capillaries, also to increase their exuding ability. Mast cell also contain heparin, like an enzyme, which have active substance to prevent blood coagulation. Blood coagulation means blood clotting or solidification of blood. But heparin prevents coagulation. In addition to this type of cell we study, there are also reticular cells and pigment cells in connective tissue. So there are questions asked about to enumerate, to list the name of cells only in connective tissue, or can ask about their function one by one or all in one, and also can ask about this specific proteins function about connective tissue cells. The fibers of connective tissue are white or collagenous fibers, yellow or elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. White or collagenous fibers, they are white fibers because its color is white when they become mature and observed under the microscope. They found in form of bundles and consisting of number of fibers. Each fiber consists of thinner fibers, like fibrils, but tens or hundreds of them make a bundle. We call it what? Bundle of collagenous fibers. The white fiber has a mechanical importance in connective tissue because it resists to tensile, so they cannot expand. No expansion. For what? For white or collagenous fibers. We need this information to compare that with yellow, because mainly question about these fibers to compare with yellow and white fibers or elastic and collagenous fibers. Yellow or elastic fiber, they call it as yellow fiber because they in yellow color when they are become measured and observed under the microscope. They found in the form of single fibers, while we said the white fibers are make bundle. They may have ramification, which means they are branched. Branched and one fiber extent may divide into two or more fibers. We call it ramification. But white fibers, there is no ramification in white or branch in white fibers, but for yellow fibers. They can easily stretch, means they can expand, so because of their elasticity. They are flexible but not tough as white fibers. So in that comparison, we can say the white fibers make bundle, yellow fibers not make bundle. White fibers no branched, yellow fibers are branched. White fibers cannot expand, but yellow fibers can expand. And collagenous fibers are white in color, but elastic fibers are yellow in color. The reticular fibers, they call it reticular because they makes what? They make a cross link to make a meshwork, like what? Network of fibers with including some intercellular substance with thin fibers. This thin fiber found in lymphatic nets or nodes, which is a crossing point of lymphatic vessels to provide structural support, which is the main function of connective tissue. Intercellular substance or matrix for connective tissue. It found in transparent homogeneous substance with no distinctive shape. It may occur as a liquid, half-liquid, gelatin, or solid according to type of cell. And we remember we said classification of connective tissue according to kind of cells, fibers maybe, and also depend on physical characteristic of intercellular substance into two types, the connective tissue proper or connective tissue special. If the tissue contains this A type of cell which we studied, only its proper connective tissue with some kind of fibers, but if tissue had some specialized cells for different function, that time we call that special connective tissue, like blood tissue or bone tissue or cartilage tissue or lymphatic tissue. So the connective tissue proper also divided into two, to loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. With loose contain low abundance of fibers, with dense high density of fibers in that tissue. Means the classification according to what? Cells and abundance of fibers. For what? For connective tissue proper. Areolar connective tissue, it is the most common type of connective tissue, contain all types of fibers in different densities and different types of connective tissue cells. Located beneath the skin to connect the skin to internal body parts, maybe to the muscles, and located around the internal organs, like all organs in our body, has a fixed position but connected to inner body cavities by this connective tissue. It covers the most of body organs, including blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves, and support them. Adipose connective tissue, we remember adipose cells. The fat cells are found in this type of tissue, located beneath the skin. So as fat increases in body, the thickness of skin increases. In the locations of fat storage, any part of body stores fat, means there is adipose connective tissue or fat metabolism or takes place. The functions are same as adipose cells, like storing fat, generating energy, and maintaining thermal balance. The difference is cell is only one, but tissue a group of adipose cells. Reticular connective tissue, primitive types of tissues, which are simple in structure. The reticular cells are found in it with some reticular fibers. Intercellular substance is liquid. As we remember, lymphatic, we said reticular fibers are found in lymphatic nodes, so lymphatic organs, liver, and bone marrow. The function is supported part of body. The mesenchymal connective tissue, we need to remember the function of mesenchymal cells, which having ability to differentiate into any kind of cell in connective tissue. Its cells are located in intercellular substance, which is liquid. The embryonic phases then contain the mesenchymal cells, and after they can differentiate into various types of tissues in the adults. And their function also is to differentiate to various types of tissues in the body. Means after fertilization, the zygote is called the embryonic cell, but divided into two. After 4-8, this group of cells, they are mesenchymal cells. Embryonic cells, mesenchymal cells, they have ability to differentiate any kind of cells which are represented by meristematic tissue in plant body. Mucoid connective tissue is composed of fibroblasts, the most abundant type of cell in connective tissue, with a function of producing all kinds of fibers, and with a gelatinous intercellular substance support function to umbilical cord, which provide material exchange between mother and fetus during pregnancy. The second type of connective tissue proper is the dense connective tissue. We said it called dense because contain the high density of fibers, but high density of fibers also has two types according if high density of collagenous or white fibers, or high density of elastic or yellow fibers. Collagenous fibers found in this type of tissue. Fibers in this tissue are either regular in the tendons which connect muscle to the bones, or irregular as in the skin dermis. Dense elastic connective tissue, we remember the ability of this fibers having ability to expand. Yellow fibers prevail in this type of tissue found in the ligaments which connect one bone to another bone, especially in the cervical ligaments as example for that kind of tissue.